Chapter 5. The following morning, after getting ready, Katie and Joe had breakfast in the hotel restaurant. As usual, Joe had a glass of orange juice while Katie sipped her coffee. "We should probably see Ashley before doing anything else," Katie said. "I agree. The doctor may release her this morning." They headed to the hospital after breakfast. Ashley's room was full of people when they arrived, just like the first time they had been there. Unlike the first time, everyone had a smile on their face. Ashley's father stood on one side of her, while John and the kids stood on the other. "What's going on?" Katie asked. "Ashley's being released today," John said. "That's great news," Katie said. "What time?" "He said it would take about 2 hours. He looked at his watch and added, "He said that about a half hour ago, so she should be out of here around 10. Katie walked over and hugged Ashley. "I'm so happy you are okay and will be leaving this place," she said. "Me too," Ashley said. "It's kind of depressing here." "I hope you're not going home wearing that," Katie said, pointing at her hospital gown. Ashley looked down and said, "Oh, hell no. John brought me a change of clothes. I just haven't had a chance to put them on yet." "Now is probably a good time," Katie said. "I agree," Ashley said before turning to John. "Can you hand me my clothes, honey?" "Of course, dear," John said before picking a bag off the floor and handing it to Ashley. She got off the bed and carried the bag to the washroom. While she was getting dressed, Katie's phone rang. It was Bob Martin. "Good morning, Bob. Did you hear Ashley is leaving this morning?" "I did. That's why I'm calling. I'm sending a photographer over there, and I want you to do the story." "Me? I can't do that. I'm not prepared. I'm not dressed for television." "Good. It will be more natural. You're Ashley's friend. Report it as a friend would report it." "Okay, I'm in as long as Ashley will go along with it." "A young man named Andrew is heading your way. He's new at the job, so cut him some slack." "I hope he knows how to use a camera," Katie said. "He's capable, or I wouldn't have hired him." Ashley emerged from the bathroom just as Katie hung up the phone. She was wearing blue jeans, tennis shoes, and a pink sweater. Holding her arms up, she said, "I wouldn't have picked this outfit." "What's wrong with it?" "I think you look great," Katie said. "You're my friend. Of course you would say that." "Bob Martin called and wants me to cover your release." "What? You want to film me dressed like this?" "How do you think I feel?" Katie said. "I'm dressed just like you, except my sweater is red. If anyone should be dressed nicely, it would be the reporter, not the person leaving the hospital." "You have a point, Katie. Now I don't feel so bad." "That's great, now I do." Joe, who had been listening quietly, decided to speak up. "I think you both look fantastic. No man watching is even going to notice what you are wearing." Ashley looked at Katie and then back at Joe. "What about the women?" Joe shook his head and said, "I give up." Henry put his hand on Joe's shoulder and said, "You can live to be 100 and still not understand women." Joe smiled and said, "I'm certain you're right about that." The door opened, and a young man carrying a video camera stepped in. The door started to close, hitting the camera and startling the young man, who turned and backed away from the door, stepping on Joe's foot. He turned around and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." "It's okay. It'll heal," Joe said. Katie stepped forward, put out her hand and said, "You must be Andrew. I'm Katie." He shook Katie's hand and said, "You can call me Andy. I'm pleased to meet you, Miss Katie." "Mrs. I was married recently." "Oh, congratulations, Mrs. Katie. I know you by reputation. People at the station talk highly of you. I heard you caught a murderer on your very first investigation." Katie put her hand on Joe's arm and said, "We caught a murderer. This is my husband, Joe Novak." They shook hands, and Andy said, "I heard about you too. You both got caught in an explosion and survived. Well, obviously." "Yes, we were pretty lucky," Joe said. "Just as lucky as Miss Ashley here, it seems." "Mrs.," Ashley corrected. "Mrs., I'm sorry, I keep getting that wrong." "How long have you been with the station?" Katie asked. "I started yesterday. This is my first assignment." "Wonderful," Katie said. "Don't worry, miss. I mean Mrs. Katie, I do know what I'm doing. I use the same camera in school and know it inside and out." "You know the camera, but what about everything else? What about lighting? Do you know when to shoot close and when to go wide? Will you notice if something in the background is sticking out of my head?" "I'm sure he'll be fine, Katie," Joe said. "I'll work with him. If I notice something off, I'll mention it." Of course you'll be fine, Andy. I'm sorry. I'm just used to Ashley behind the camera. Joe is an experienced photographer. He can help you if you need it. That's all right, Mrs. Katie. No need to apologize. I know I'm inexperienced, and I welcome any advice from you or Mr. Joe. Just Joe, Joe said. Okay, Joe, where do you want to film? Joe looked at Katie and asked, do you want to film in here or outside? I think we should film outside by the exit. I can talk to Ashley, and then Andy can film her getting in the car and driving away. That's a good idea, Mrs. Tapp. Katie. Please, just Katie. Okay, Katie, why don't we go downstairs and set up, Andy? Joe said. We can test the lighting and find the best spot to shoot from. Thanks, Joe, Katie said. We'll be down as soon as Ashley is released. After Joe and Andy left, Ashley said, Hey guys, can you give Katie and me a few minutes? We have some girl stuff to talk about. Girl stuff? John said. Are you feeling okay? It's girl stuff, Ashley repeated. Oh, okay, we're leaving. After everyone left, Katie asked, What's going on? I remembered something else, Ashley said. The paper my mom showed me had something to do with the deaths of homeless people. Really? How did they die? What's the connection to your mom? I'm sorry. I don't know. That's all I remember. That's okay. This is the first real lead that we have so far. I just want you to find that son of a bitch that killed my mother. Katie nodded, put her hand on Ashley's, and said, We'll do our best. Thank you for everything, Katie. Katie smiled and said, I'm going to wait for you downstairs with Joe. Katie opened the door and motioned for everyone to come back in. She then got on the elevator and headed down to the lobby. 20 minutes later, a nurse entered Ashley's room with a wheelchair. Are you ready to leave this place? She asked. I was ready yesterday, and I don't need that thing. I can walk out of here. I'm afraid it's hospital policy. Once you're outside, you can do what you want. She handed Ashley a clipboard and said, I just need you to sign a few things, and then you can go home. Ashley signed the papers and got into the chair. The nurse pushed her out of the room, followed by her father, husband, and kids. They all got in the elevator and headed downstairs. When they exited the elevator, over 24 hospital employees lined both sides of the walkway. As Ashley passed, they all started clapping. Andy filmed the scene while Joe and Katie stood behind him, clapping. Ashley smiled and waved at everyone. When she got outside, she stood up while Katie moved beside her with a microphone. Hello, Milwaukee. This is Katie Novak here with Ashley Taylor. Ashley is my good friend and a beloved colleague to everyone at Channel 23 News. 2 days ago, Ashley was shot while visiting her mom, Virginia Hall. Tragically, Ashley lost her mom that day. Virginia was a woman who dedicated her life to helping others. I knew her personally, and her loss has left a hole in my heart, as I'm sure it has for many who knew her. Ashley herself was not expected to survive, but now, 2 days later, she is ready to go home. Ashley, would you like to say something to the people of Milwaukee? I want to thank you first, Katie, and your husband, Joe. You two just returned from your honeymoon and then raced here to see me. You're true friends. I also want to thank everyone who has supported my family during this trying time. People at the hospital are calling you the Miracle Woman. Can you explain your miraculous recovery? I'm certain that God sent an angel here to heal me. That is the best explanation that I have heard today. Thank you for your time, Ashley, and we look forward to your return to work. This is Katie Novak with Channel 23 News. Andy continued to film while Ashley got in the car and drove away. Katie handed the microphone to Andy and said, Good job, Andy. I think you have a future in this business. On the way to Katie's car, Joe said, Let's go back to the hotel. I want to look at that recording Gabe gave us again. Okay, what's on there you want to see? I thought I saw something that wasn't quite right. It seemed minor when I first saw it, but I realized it may be important after thinking about it. I want to confirm my suspicion. When they returned to the hotel, Katie opened her laptop and inserted the thumb drive into the slot. Katie opened the first video, but it was the wrong one. Joe said, That's not it. Open the other one. Katie opened the other video, and they watched Ashley enter her mom's office. They continued watching for a couple of minutes before Joe saw it. Look, see the door next to Virginia's? Barely, Katie replied. It just opened a crack. Keep watching. They watched as Ashley and Virginia left the office and disappeared off the screen. A few seconds later, they saw the door to the right open all the way. They could only see about 6 inches of the door on the hinge side and couldn't see who had left the room. Katie backed up the video and stopped it. They could see part of a person's arm. "Is that Holly's office?" Katie asked. "It must be. She said her office is next to Virginia's, and there isn't an office on the other side. She's wearing something black, although there's not much detail in the video. I can't tell if it's a leather jacket or just a black shirt." "We should pay her another visit," Joe said. "I agree. I think this is a good time to do a Channel 23 news interview. I know your camera is still in the suitcase, but did you bring a microphone?" A good photographer is always prepared. Joe grabbed what he needed from the suitcase, and they headed back to Virginia's office. They entered the social services building and approached the woman behind the desk. She was not the same person they had seen the day before. "Good afternoon. I'm Katie, and this is Joe. We are with Channel 23 News. We'd like to speak with Holly Johnson, please." The woman picked up her phone and dialed an extension. After a few seconds, she said, "A couple of people from the news station would like to speak with you." "She'll be with you in just a moment," the woman said. Holly Johnson walked into the lobby and said, "Hello, it's good to see you again. What can I do for you today?" "Well, we are putting together a piece on Virginia Hall and could use a statement from one of her colleagues. Would you mind speaking with us on camera?" Holly hesitated momentarily before saying, "Of course not. Where would you like to film it?" "I think your office would be a good place," Joe said. "Sure, follow me," Holly said before leading them to her office. The first thing Katie noticed when entering the office was a black leather jacket hanging from a coat hanger in the corner near the door. She looked at Joe, back at the jacket, and then back at Joe. He nodded and said, "I think you should stand behind your desk. I'll shoot it from the corner here." Holly stood behind her desk, and Katie stood next to her. Joe lifted his camera and positioned himself so the jacket would be in the frame next to Katie. He pressed record and said, "We're recording." Katie looked at the camera and said, "This is Katie Novak. I'm here with Holly Johnson, a co-worker of Virginia Hall. Tell us, Holly, what happened the day Virginia and her daughter Ashley were shot?" "Well, I was in my office working when I heard a commotion in the hallway. I stopped to listen and heard someone yell, 'Call 911. I got up and went to the hallway. Several other people were in the hallway, wondering what had happened by then. A group of people stood by the back door until someone finally went outside. Soon, everyone filtered outside, myself included. That's when we learned the terrible news." "How long did you work with Virginia?" Katie asked. "Almost 6 months. What did you think of her?" "She was a wonderful person. She was my mentor. I wouldn't have lasted in this job without her help." "Thank you so much for speaking with us today, Holly. I know this is a tough time for everyone here. Reporting for Channel 23 News, this is Katie Novak." Joe turned off the camera, and Katie said, "Thank you for your time, Holly. I think we have all we need here." "It was my pleasure," Holly said. When they returned to the car, Katie said, "I don't believe it. That was too easy." "We didn't prove anything yet," Joe said. "No, but we have her on tape lying. We proved she's a liar, not a killer." "What about the leather jacket?" "Lots of people have leather jackets." "Why are you being negative now? We found our killer," Katie said. Joe put his hand on Katie's shoulder and said, "I believe it is very likely that Holly Johnson killed Virginia Hall and shot Ashley. I'm just trying to point out what a prosecutor would say." "You're right. We need to talk to Gabe about this." "Okay, but let's have lunch first." They decided to eat lunch at the hotel's restaurant. After they ordered their food, Katie asked, "Do you think we have enough evidence for Gabe to arrest Holly?" "I doubt it. I do think there is enough evidence to bring her in for questioning. If they do that, Gabe might just get her to confess, or at least say something stupid." "I hope so. I just can't understand what would motivate her to commit murder." "Hopefully, we'll find out soon." After lunch, Joe said, "I'd like to go to the room for a little while and practice healing. Then we can talk to Gabe." "That's a good idea. I would like to feel the baby again." "The whole point of practicing is so you can't feel anything." No, the point of practicing is so that other people can't feel anything. I'm your wife. I want to feel everything. Okay, my dear, we'll do a little of both. They went upstairs to their room and sat on the sofa. They held hands and closed their eyes. Soon, Katie could feel her unborn baby. It was still tiny, but it emitted a life force that almost overwhelmed her. A tremendous feeling of joy and gratitude swept over her. Just 3.5 months ago, she was a lost soul. Her career was at a standstill, and her love life kept ending in failed relationships. One fateful event changed her life. She hit Joe with her car. She learned of Joe's incredible healing ability and his ability to stay young despite being over 100 years old. She then helped Joe learn something he was unaware of, that he was the last in a line of healers stretching back hundreds, if not thousands of years. These healers could heal others simply by touching them. A whirlwind romance followed, ending with marriage and a baby on the way. Joe gave Katie 10 minutes to experience the baby and said, "Okay, I'm going to try to block you out now." After a few seconds, Katie lost contact with Joe and the baby. Even though she was sitting next to Joe and holding his hand, she had this feeling that she was alone. She knew she was spoiled. No other woman in the world was able to feel what she felt. Ashley had a taste of it, but she was not pregnant. After another 10 minutes, Joe let go and asked, "What did you feel?" "I think you have the hang of it now. I felt nothing, not even for a second." "That's great. Maybe when this is over, I can help other people." "I look forward to seeing that, Joe." Last Rites continues on the next video. For more information on this book and others by this author, please visit charleshuss.com.